highlighting history of suburban Sydney with the St Peter's Cooks River History Group.
Our aim is to preserve and promote local history.
We are based at St Peter's in Sydney's inner west. Marrickville, a suburb in Sydney's inner west, is located 6 kilometres southwest of the central business district.
The traditional owners of the land named the area Bullinaming.
Thomas Moore, the first shipbuilder in the colony, was granted land in the area in 1799 and 1803. By 1807, Moore had ownership of land covering all present-day Marrickville.
Moore sold his land to barrister and newspaper editor Robert Wardell in 1830. Following Wardell's murder by runaway convicts in 1843, his land was subdivided.
Two of the purchasers were Thomas Chalder and Thomas Holt. Chalder bought 60 acres and Holt 130.
Chalder named his estate Marrick, after his birthplace in Yorkshire, England. In 1855 the estate was subdivided. The village of Marrickville became established. It was centred on Chapel Street between Victoria Road and Illawarra Road. Shops, hotels, a post office and school opened in the 1860s. Market gardens and dairy farms occupied the surrounding area.
Following Marrickville's incorporation as a municipality in 1861, a town hall was built on Illawarra Road.
Thomas Holt, wool merchant and politician, built a castellated Victorian mansion which was enclosed by a 2-metre-high stone wall. Its name, the Warren, was derived from his breeding of rabbits on the property. The house had a bathing shed, Turkish bath and art gallery. School children visited the art gallery, played and picnicked in the grounds.
In 1871, Holt contributed half of the construction costs of the Roseby Congregational Church. It was built on land diagonally opposite the Warren Lodge and gates.
1881 was a significant year.
Holt returned to England. His estate was sold. The Warrens' burial vaults on the banks of Cooks River would not be used by the family. The house was purchased by a French order of Carmelite nuns.
A tram line along Victoria Road from Newtown to Marrickville opened.
The Tramway estate was auctioned.
The terminus for the tram was on the corner of Illawarra and Marrickville Roads at the Empress of India Hotel. The hotel, built in 1879, was demolished in 1897 and replaced by the Victoria Hotel. Claude Fay was the publican for many years, and it was colloquially named Fay's. Demolished in 1942, it was replaced by the Marrickville Hotel. Today the site is a medical centre.
In 1883, St Clement's Church opened. The present church was consecrated in 1914. The original church is now the parish hall.
Polish bird painter Gracius Brownowski built a house which he named Prosna. It was constructed of stone from the demolished stables of the Warren. In 1914 the house was renamed Ferncourt by Mr Fitzgibbons, who operated a dairy there. The Education Department purchased the house and Ferncourt School opened in 1922.
The original Roman Catholic Church in Des Pointes Street was built in 1886.
In 1888, Shrubland's house was built for James Smith of the company Goodlett and Smith, timber merchants and brickmakers.
In the same year, the Royal Exchange Hotel opened. The original building had a tower on the roof.
During the 1880s, market gardens were replaced by brick pits. Large estates were subdivided to provide housing for the growing population. The Stanshaw Brick Company site is now Henson Park.
1889 saw major flooding in the area. The Tramville estate, which had been built around the Gumbamora swamp, was the worst affected area. People were evacuated from their homes. The land was not suitable for residential use. A steam pumping station was built to drain and sewer the area, which became an industrial one.
In 1890, there were 60 dairies in the area. One of the dairies was on the corner of Carrington Road and Ruby Street.
The business centre of the suburb moved to Marrickville Road. A new post office was built in 1891.
Vickers Woolen Mills began operation in 1893.
Marrickville Station was established when the Bankstown railway line opened in 1895. Up until this time, Sydenham Station was known as Marrickville because of its proximity to the original village.
A police station, known as the Marrickville Lockup, was built in 1895. The station closed in the 1990s.
The shop on the corner of Illawarra Road was Eden and Company Drapers from 1895 until 1897. It then became Linthorne's. In 1913, a special window display featured blankets and travelling rugs and a variety of boots and shoes which were all made in Marrickville. When the tram line was laid along Illawarra Road, the front portion of the building was changed to round off the corner and ease the curve for the trams.
Marrickville Hospital opened as a cottage hospital in 1899. It was proclaimed a district hospital in 1922. The hospital closed in 1991. The site was purchased by Marrickville Council, and part of the hospital building has been incorporated into the new library which opened in 2019.
In 1903, H.T. Seymour, builder and contractor, established a store on Marrickville Road. In 1913, he moved to the corner of Marrickville and Victoria Roads. Seymour's store was advertised as Universal Providers. At the time of its opening, it was the biggest suburban store in Australia. In 1940, the store burnt down. It was rebuilt on a smaller scale in Victoria Road.
Marrickville Margarine and Sydney Steel were established in 1908.
The Shrublands estate was subdivided in 1909.
In 1911, Frankfurt Villa, formerly the home of Samuel Cook, manager of the Sydney Morning Herald, was purchased by the Salvation Army and became Bethesda Mothers Hospital. It was used as a hospital until 1957 when a purpose-built maternity hospital was opened. The building was named Steed House in 1972 in honour of matron Steed. In 2011 it was privately purchased and converted into residential apartments.
In 1914 the federal government purchased land formerly part of Norwood Park Dairy and established the Addison Road Army Barracks.
During World War I, the Warren was used as an artillery training camp.
In 1919, a soldier's memorial, crowned by a winged victory statue, the work of local sculptor Gilbert Doble, was unveiled.
Shrublands House was sold and acquired by the Passionist Fathers and became a monastery.
The Warren was demolished by the state government. John Sulman was engaged to build a housing estate for returned soldiers. Today the area is still known by the name of the old house. 2 towers from the building have been erected at Richardson's Lookout.
In 1921, Hoyt's Theatre opened on Illawarra Road. It was closed in 1938, modernised and reopened the following year. The theatre finally closed down in 1959.
A new St Bridget's Church opened in 1921. The facade and bell tower were added in the 1950s.
In 1922, Marrickville Town Hall opened. Dances were organised 3 times a week by the Strollers, Bert Gibb and his son Hector.
2 large factories were built on Carrington Road.
A General Motors assembly plant opened in 1926. 70 cars a day could be assembled and 400 persons employed.
The following year, Julie and Hansford opened. Originally manufacturing nuts and bolts, the company expanded into tools and automotive parts. In 1968 it was taken over by US automotive firm TWR, which operated the factory for another 3 decades. Today the factory buildings are used for automotive repairs.
From 1927 until the 1990s, this property on Marrickville Road was a motor garage, today a Chinese restaurant.
In 1929, Marrickville Girls Intermediate High School opened. It was renamed Marrickville Girls High School in 1954 and moved to new premises on Sydenham Road in 1974, becoming a coeducational high school in 1979.
Swampland was drained. Steel Park and Mackie Park were established. A river patrol was located at Steel Park.
The canary palms in Carrington Road were planted as part of depression work for the unemployed.
Marrickville Symphony Orchestra, a council-supported suburban orchestra, was formed in 1930 by unemployed musicians.
Manufacturing exhibitions were held in the town hall to promote local products. There were more than 130 manufacturing businesses in Marrickville, which included 3 woolen mills, the Australian, Globe and Vickers.
In 1939, the General Motors Holden factory was sold to Davies Coupe, manufacturers of cotton products.
The King's Theatre opened in 1937 and introduced many new and exclusive features in theatre construction. It had seating accommodation for 1,200 people, 750 in the stalls and 450 in the dress circle.
The railway department's Fraser Park opened in 1939. There was a cricket oval, tennis courts, 2 bowling greens and a quoit pitch. It was named after a former commissioner of railways.
After World War II, the emergence of multicultural Marrickville began with the arrival of Greek and later Chinese and Vietnamese migrants.
In 1957, trams were replaced by buses.
In 1966, the St Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church was opened.
The Wurlitzer organ from the Prince Edward Theatre in Sydney was installed in Marrickville Town Hall in 1968.
In 1976, the Addison Road Community Centre was established in the Army Barracks.
De La Salle Boys' School and St Bridget's Girls' School merged to become Casimir Catholic College in 1983. The founder of both schools was Father Casimir Maguire. The amalgamated school took his name.
In 1987, Marrickville Metro Shopping Centre opened on the site of Vickers Woolen Mill. Incorporated into the development was part of the factory wall and mill house, built about 1860 and lived in by the Vickers family.
In 1992, the rooftop dance scene in Baz Luhrmann's film Strictly Ballroom was filmed on the roof of a building on the corner of Victoria and Marrickville Roads.
The restored and altered winged Victory statue was unveiled in 2015.
Today, Marrickville is a multicultural community with residential, commercial and light industrial areas. If you have enjoyed this video, subscribe to our channel. It's free. And check out our website, stpeterscooksriverhistory.wordpress.com.